Hi, today I'm going to be reviewing the Selection series, but I'll only be reviewing the first three books, which are the Selection, the Elite, and the One. I won't be reviewing the Heir and the Crown because I've heard that they're not as good. Also, they take place 20 years later, so there's already a conclusion to these three. If you read these three, it's the conclusion. You don't really need the sequels. And when I check what happens in those sequels, they're not what I would have liked to happen 20 years later, so I prefer imagining my own fan fiction version of what happens. It takes place in a dystopian world where the US is divided into castes. It's called Ilya. Am I pronouncing it right? But anyway, they're divided into 8 castes, from 1 to 8, 8 being the lowest. And America's Singer. Am I the only one who thinks America's Singer is a cringy name? But anyway, she's a 5 and their job is in arts and music. Each caste has a different job, so their job is something in arts and music. But anyway, America's mom is kind of a social climber who wants her to marry someone who's at least a 4. No 6s, no 5s either. But anyway, America's in love with a 6, Aspen. So obviously their relationship is a secret because her mom would not approve. But anyway, her mom is urging her to sign up for the selection where 35 girls are selected to compete for the prince, to marry the prince. America's not interested because she's in love with Aspen. And she's not a social climber. She has no interest in being a princess. Obviously, because anyone who wants better things in life is always just a bad person anyway. That's the message, is these kind of fictional sense. But anyway, Aspen tells her to enter because he doesn't want to hold her back. He doesn't want to hold her back from the possibility of being a princess and having a better life. And so she reluctantly agrees to sign up. Then Aspen breaks up with her, and then so she goes to the competition single. What I liked, her relationship with Prince Maxon. I thought their relationship was kind of cute. I liked their story, even though they had their flaws. I didn't care for her relationship with Aspen, but I won't say who she ends up with, because I think it's a spoiler. But anyway, the relationship in this book are quite good. Not just her relationship with Maxon, but her relationship with her maids and relationship with her father and sister. The overall relationships in this book are kind of good. And I like the task. I like how the tasks they gave in the competition for the girls were more suitable for what you have in a competition where the bachelor is a prince, because they don't just test your compatibility with the prince. They test you as a princess, how you'd fare as a princess, which I thought was fair game. I thought was suitable. Honestly, I expected the competition to be a bit more like The Bachelor, like some sort of elimination process, and we get to see like how each girl is compatible with The Bachelor. But I guess we couldn't really have much of that because the books are told from the perspective of the contestant instead of the perspective of Maxon. But I do think that one thing that could have been better with the competition was an actual elimination ceremony where Maxon announces who's eliminating, and but I like being in my seat and be like, okay, who's gonna get eliminated? But instead, the eliminations just happen at random in these books. I forgot to add that I feel they took too long before they started the competition. Like there's too much exposition at the beginning of the book before they get to the main, selection. Like too many chapters of America and Aspen and the whole dilemma. I feel like that thing could have been condensed and we could have gotten to the competition sooner. And honestly, I don't think we needed 3 books. Like I think this could have been one longer book instead of 3 books. Characters. Okay, of all the girls in the competition, I kind of like Celeste the most as a character, not as a person. She's the mean girl of the series, and I kind of like the mean girl, not as a person, but because they make scenes more interesting. And I thought she was the most interesting of all the girls in the competition, and she made the books more interesting, honestly. And Maxon, I like Maxon kind of. I do like Maxon as a character. Aspen, I guess he's a nice guy, but I didn't really vibe with Aspen much. I don't know why. Aspen just kind of annoyed me a bit. America. Okay, positive first about America. She's kind. She good-hearted. Is that a kind? Okay. Anyway, she stands up for what she wants. She stands up for rights, and she stands up for injustice. But aside from that, she's just very impulsive and indecisive, and honestly very annoying and infuriating to read as a main character. But I get that she has flaws. But I think that a main character can be flawed, or even have the same flaws as her, being impulsive and everything, and not be as annoying and infuriating as America. Like, she's just one bad decision after another, and even being in her mind is kind of annoying. Like, she just overthinks everything. Like, and she's so indecisive, and every small thing gets her to question Maxon or Aspen. Like, she just kept flip-flopping between them. Speaking of it, the love triangle in this book, I hate love triangles, and I read 3 books of it. 3 books of America just being like, okay, I love Aspen. Okay, I like Maxon. Okay, I need to choose. Okay. Oh, Maxon did this, so he must be bad. I'm Aspen. Okay, I'm on Maxon. I was wrong. Okay, I want Aspen. She kept flip-flopping between Maxon and Aspen and being so indecisive. Also, she's kind of judgmental. She judges Maxon from the moment she sees him on screen and just automatically assumes he must be boring and he must be a stuck-up and all these kind of things. And when she meets him, she's kind of mean to him, even though she tries to go out of the castle for some air in the night, and the guards didn't let her, but Maxon comes and tells him to let her go, and that doesn't clue her in that he might not be bad. She's still mean to him and judges him. It takes her time before she realizes that, hey, he might be a nice guy. She also judges Celeste right from the moment she sees her. She didn't know right from the start that Celeste would do bad things or be mean. All she knew was that she was a little vain and confident, and the way she was dressed, and she judged her based on those things. But it worked for 2 things that America did. I could tolerate her character so much more. These 2 things just made me so infuriated with her character. What those 2 things are, they might be spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything, it doesn't spoil the end, but if you don't want to know anything that happens throughout the book besides the basic premise, then you should probably go to the timestamp on the screen. Okay, number 1, before I get to it, I need to add a bit of context. Okay, before the competition, there were people who came to a house to talk about the rules. And those people said that she was not allowed to turn the prince down romantically. Like, she had to give in to all his romantic advances. So when Maxon and her had an agreement, because America wasn't interested in winning, but she wanted to stay in the competition for as long as she could to get over Aspen, and so that her family would get money. And she told Maxon this, and Maxon agreed that she could stay because she offered to advise him. Like, she'd advise him on the girls. So Maxon agreed for the exchange, and they'd have their talks, their friendly talks where she'd advise him. During one of these walks outside, Maxon just takes a step towards her, and she knees him in the private part. And that just shocked me. Like, woman, like, I wasn't even making a move on her. He just took a step towards her. And even if he was making a move on her, how about she verbally express her no first before resorting to assault? I just can't justify that. Like, even with the mindset that she can't reject him romantically based on what she was told, that still doesn't excuse her not even trying to say no first before she assaults him. And if she had to be physical, she didn't have to knee him in the private. Like, she didn't have to knee him. She could have just pushed him away. Like, anything. Like, I'm sorry. That just really infuriated me. And the worst part is, it's sort of portrayed as a women power moment. Like, oh, go America, look, she needs this guy and he's walking towards her. Like, no, no. She did not do anything that deserves praise in that instance. But anyway, moving on. Number 2, like I said about the love triangle, she was stringing Maxon and Aspen along, and she was kind of cheating on Maxon. Like, first, she didn't tell Maxon that Aspen was her ex when he first showed up. She told him she had an ex, but she didn't tell him when the ex showed up as a guard, because she was afraid that Maxon would punish Aspen for breaking her heart. But Maxon had proven to be reasonable and kind, so I don't understand why she didn't think she could just talk him out of anything, any punishment he wanted to give Aspen and tell him to let it go. I think he would have listened. But okay, you could maybe somewhat excuse her for not telling him he was her ex, but that goes out the window when she gets romantically involved back with her ex. Like, Maxon and her already gotten romantically involved and had their first kiss, but one fight with him, and when Aspen comes to her room and be like, America, I made a mistake, and I want you back, and then she starts making out with him in her room, that is cheating. And that's not the only time. Like, she sees Aspen behind Maxon's back, romantically. And the fact that she has the audacity, that when she feels guilt, and she's like, why do I feel like I'm cheating on Maxon, even if he's seeing 5 other girls? Like, I don't know, America. Maybe because you know about those 5 other girls. You have an agreement. It's a competition and temporary. So that's not cheating. But he doesn't know about your relationship with Aspen. All he knows is that you have an ex. So you are cheating. So America is a cheater. Now I'm going to get into more spoilers. So if you don't want any more spoilers, please go to the timestamp on the screen. But anyways, even when America knew she wanted to choose Maxon, she doesn't completely let Aspen go. I mean, okay, she still flip-flops. But even when she's sure she wants Maxon, she still has a doubt. So she keeps Aspen on the hook and doesn't completely let him go because she's afraid that in the rare occasion that it doesn't work out with Maxon, that she wants Aspen to fall back on. I get that America is supposed to be only 17 and a teenager, and hence is supposed to be acting like a teenager. But even as a teenager, I didn't find her actions all that excusable. And also, if I wanted to read about a teenager making decisions like a teenager, I'd read a teen romance. Like, this is supposed to be a story about a girl competing to marry the prince, so I'd rather have a more adult protagonist, an older protagonist that's a bit more mature and doesn't act like a teenager. So this book also had one of my least favorite tropes. It's not something objectively bad about the book, it's just something that I didn't like. It's one of my least favorite tropes, where the hero, where Maxon's father is kind of the villain. I mean, not the main villain, but anyway, he's not a good guy. He's abusive to Maxon, and he's not a good king, and he wants a class system. So that's not something I like. Like, I wish his father was a good guy, or even if his father was a bad guy who wanted the class system, like, I wish they didn't have to make him a bad father as well. Like, I wish they could still have made him a loving father as well, or at least given him a proper redemption. And America's brother, America's brother also had like a proper redemption. It's kind of sad, to see Maxon's father and America's brother that way. America's brother isn't exactly a bad guy, but he's more materialistic. Speaking of which, America's brother, he left the family, but he wanted his earnings to be all for himself, and he wanted to rise up. He wanted to become a 2 or something. He wanted to social climb. But anyway, when her father passes away and he leaves the house to her brother gets mad. It doesn't make sense. And he said, why did you leave me to dump? It doesn't make sense, because even if he doesn't like the house and he doesn't think it's much, there's no reason for him to be upset to get it, because he doesn't lose anything by getting that house, even if it's a dump. If it was a dump and he didn't want it, he could just give it to his family. Like, it's no big deal. Like, there's no reason for him to be upset, and there's no reason for him to have expected more, because he knew what his father had. So there's really no reason for her brother to have been upset about the house, even if he didn't like the house. Okay, that's all I have to say for these books. I like them fairly enough, but not enough to reread them, at least not in the near future. They did have their faults, which I pointed out. At least, in my opinion, those are the faults in these books. If you like romance and The Bachelor and Hunger Games, I guess you'd like these books fairly enough and should check them out. But I wouldn't say they're like perfect or 5 stars. At best, they're like okay and fairly good. At least that's my final verdict of these books. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of these books. Did you like them? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm being too harsh on America? And that's all I have to say for now. And I will see you in another video. Bye.